Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle Me in my series Freemasonry and Satanism. I have a new book to look at. On March 19th, 2019. Seems like this year is just moving right along. You know what that means, don't you? 2020 is coming right up. Then 2025. Quarter of a century. Things are happening in the world. And I suppose there's a lot of us trying to figure out what the heck WTH is going on. And I've been talking a lot about some crazy topics. The new history of the Jews. Reading this book, Mind Trek, Joseph McMoneagle, Exploring Consciousness, Time and Space through Remote Viewing. I just got this book in the mail, War is a Racket, General Smedley D. Butler. So apparently the military does errands for the elite, for the politicians and the governments and the banksters. And when I say errands, I mean wars and death and destruction. Even General Smedley Butler said he could put the mafia to shame, paraphrasing there. He says, yeah, they were operating in Chicago and New York. But he was a general, and he's operating on numerous continents, doing the bidding for the elite. Who are the elite? Well, it seems like these books are telling us who it is. And they've been around a long time, and they've done a lot of nasty things. I've been getting these books in the mails, and I need to read them and make more videos. Radicals. Why tomorrow belongs to the post-denominational Christians infused with supernatural powers. Thomas Horn. Awaken to the New World Order. Zen Garcia. Young and Remote Viewing. What's remote viewing? David Shaver. Young, the psychologist. Psyche and Anomalous Perception. Remote Perceptions. Out-of-body experiences, remote viewing, and other normal abilities. I got stacks and stacks. I have hundreds, maybe 600 books on that topic. That's how I started my research years ago. Technocracy Rising, the Trojan Horse of the Global Transformation, Patrick Wood. Daniel reveals the bloodline of the Antichrist. The mystery of the menorah. The new symbol we see around Christmas time, apparently replacing the Christian Jesus Christ symbols. The 7-candlestick menorah. Can't wait to read this book and get into that. And the Hebrew alphabet. Apparently the different characters spell different names for God and give these characters, Kabbalistic Jewish people, apparently part of the synagogue of Satan, special powers. So the book I'm going over, somebody I wanted to make a book review about for a long time, but everything in its time, you can only do one thing at a time. Someday the human mind will be the ultimate weapon. Someday is here. Starfire, Ingo Swann, the shattering, best-selling novel of the world's first psychic war. Another one of his books, Penetration, the question of extraterrestrial and human telepathy, Ingo Swann. So if you go look up Ingo Swann on the internet, Wikipedia, whatever, you will see that he has published a lot of books. considered an expert in some of these psychic research explorations by the governments of the world. And again, who are the governments? Who is controlling them? What have they done so far? Everything from Russian Revolution, French Revolution, and other revolutions, so they call them. They're actually a deception. They know how to manipulate men's minds and women's minds and children's minds. Penetration, just beneath the surface of the irony, though, are a number of factors that probably will be smoothed over, if not completely erased from lunar history. Some have advised me not to publish this book, on the grounds that it challenges those echelons of conventional credibility that lavishly get off on deconstructing those unfortunates whose experience what they cannot prove. Ingo Swann. So think about that for a minute. Deceiving the masses of people, you and me, some elites who control our planet, practicing satanic rituals in plain sight. So I was reading this book. I said, oh my. So I can't read it all, but I can give you the gist of the story. It started out in the early 1900s. The Russians were into psychic research and electromagnetic transmissions, i.e. Microwaves, etc. And they were beaming microwave pulses, called the woodpecker, at the United States Embassy building in Moscow. You can look this up, woodpecker, psychic transmissions, radio transmissions. Anyways, they were causing the employees of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow to become ill. Bleeding out of the ears, tumors, cancer, beaming pulses of electromagnetic microwave transmissions. Boom, 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 boom. And they're doing that now. I can show that. I've just purchased a new $200 meter. It'd be interesting to look at that in this video. So they have all these advanced technologies, plus they have all this research into psychic research, telekinesis, telepathy, mind control, remote viewing, leaving your body, being able to perceive things at great distances, apparently even on other planets. Ingo Swann. So this is supposed to be a novel, and if you know anything about writing books, you can write a book about nonfiction, scientific data, or data about people and things, and you have to have footnotes and explain it. And sometimes you can circle around that and write a fiction book and make it into a novel, but you can put the details into the story of some characters to bypass all the technicalities of proving your material and the footnotes and basically getting yourself into trouble with the government. Apparently, Ingo Swann worked for the government in these psychic research centers, as well as other books I've gone over on remote viewing with Tim Rifat. I made videos on his books, and David Morehouse, and Jim Mars, he wrote a book on that, and so much more. I started my research in psychic research, dowsing and healing and all those things, because I had been in electronics and worked at a major aerospace company for 10 years. And I always wanted to be involved in other kinds of technologies to get away from oil and nuclear energy. So I thought there were some solutions. You know, I was into Nikola Tesla and other things. I always had an open mind. But when I started purchasing some old books about these historic scientists, I found out that they were generally psychic or experiencing psychic events when they were children. And generally, they came from families whose parents were into religious organization, praying, preaching, whatever, hence using that side of their mind. We do have two lobes of brains, if you look at pictures of brains, and the left brain operates at, let's say, 105 on your FM radio, your left brain, a slow frequency. You know, you dial the radio to 101 or 105. So let's call that left brain thinking. And you can perceive the music, you can see the videos, the music videos, left brain. But think about it as the 101 radio station you dial on your radio, 105, 99.2. But then you got the right brain. That operates at 5G, believe it or not, plus or minus, but in the very high spectrum, like supercomputers, your right brain. So you got your left brain, slow, your right brain, really fast. So apparently, if you can think about that, your right brain operating at 5 gigahertz, 100 gigahertz, maybe even more, giving people intuitive actions. Like sometimes somebody will just know that they're in danger. It's like your hairs stand up on the back of your neck and you're like turning around. It's your higher self. We all have a higher self. We are spiritual beings, after all. Before, we are these bioelectrical beings operating at 105K on the radio. We're really 5 gigahertz, microwave, or even higher, light frequencies. So in this person, me, sitting here, is Rick, the biological man, and I wonder what my name is in the spiritual realm, but Rick, the spiritual essence. So there's two. And of course, they always talk about the Trinity, 3. So they say when you believe in God and you seek God, you believe in Jesus, and you believe in doing good, you're connecting to the God energy, the Holy Ghost. You can receive the Holy Ghost if you ever heard the religious term. But on the other hand, if you're evil and you want to receive your energy from some other realm, be possessed by demons, which are on the rise, even in Italy, Ireland, Brazil, Ohio, China, possessions on the rise, people being possessed by some kind of demonic energies in the Bible. So I suppose we can choose which type of third spiritual energy we wanted to be connected to. I guess maybe it's like going on your computer to a URL, a website, and you can choose the porn and the vicious killings and all of that. Or you can choose family values and decency and beautiful flowers. We all have a choice. So there's 3 components to us. Do you believe that? And a lot of people are under mind control since they were children these days. And the elites have said many times that they were targeting the children 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago. They didn't care about the old people because they were old people. They were going to die and be gone. But who would be left? The young people. And how old are those young people now? Look at society. Look at the city parks, the homelessness, and so much more. The disappearing middle class. All the wars, the death and mayhem. Why is nobody speaking up? Why is nobody outraged? Because those old people who had those old philosophies and beliefs and values, they're gone. They died. The new people who have been brought up on the TV and the programming and the education from the school systems, there is no God, Jesus is outdated, this is new, there's no such thing as sin. They're here. 100 years ago, 80 years ago, 70 years ago, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. You could have never got the Supreme Court to pass sentence on the states that they can't ban gay marriage and all the other things they're doing. The people would not have allowed it. But today the people don't know any better. They're mind controlled, they're brainwashed, they're social conditioned. You hear these terms. You can watch David Icke, you can watch Alex Jones, you can watch Richie from Boston, Lisa Haven, Dane Wigington, Deborah Traveris, and so many more. And I have a lot of clips here that I made. I might play a few of them in this video, from these different people who are sending out alarms trying to warn us. Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. Something's not right. So when it brings me to this Starfire, and you hear things about Stargates, and you see the movies, TV programs, Stargate, and the other programs, Star Wars, Star Trek, all those books on UFOs and aliens, all the preparations for, apparently, a global world order. And the mind control just keeps coming. And people get worn out. That's just a human trait. Once they throw stuff at us, and throw stuff at us, and throw stuff at us, you know, people like, oh, I give up, I don't want to fight about it. And apparently they're trying to get, this is really important, I was thinking about it, they're trying to get we the people to react in a vicious way. And they have all these technological systems in place, weapons. And they're pushing us. And they're pushing us. Imagine if somebody's just pushing you, pushing you, pushing you, pushing you, pushing you. When do you get mad and kick back? So they are pushing us. They understand how the mind operates. Even Nancy Pelosi said that after 9/11, when they were killing all those people in the Middle East, and some of those people were revolting. You know, dads would try to get some food or milk or water for his children, and they would call him an insurgent, and they would kill him. And Nancy Pelosi said, well, at least those Middle Easterners will fight back. But the Americans, they're just cowards, and they won't do anything. And they keep pushing and keep pushing. They keep dumping stuff in the sky, installing microwave transmitters. All kinds of people on the internet, scientists, etc., warning us that those transmissions are dangerous to human health, plant health, bug health, food, genetically modified foods. Everybody's beginning to be aware of this, and they're being pushed and pushed and pushed, but nobody's doing anything. I believe the power elite are waiting on we the people to do something, and they will continue to push and push and push. And they even had the government announce not too long ago that Americans should be prepared for the electric grid to go down and have food supplies and water supplies and plans for how to survive without electricity for 6 months. They're pushing. They're pushing. And they're into this psychic research and control and all this stuff. Discrediting and demonizing Christians and planning for an antichrist, even with the rebuilding of King Solomon's temple. And President Donald's face on a coin with the ancient King Cyrus, who helped the Jews rebuild King Solomon's temple the second time. So apparently God, for whatever his reasons were, destroyed the temple 2 times and dispersed the Jews all over the world. And now they're back. And the first 20 minutes of this video was all about that they're back and all the things that they've done and how they're trying to push and create a world revolution. And they're into psychic research and advanced technologies. Apparently, my theory, that Hitler regime was into the Vril Society, Thule Society, the occult. And apparently it was these beings beyond the veil, another dimension, that gave the scientists in the Hitler regime the technological advancements to give them the V-2 rockets, submarines, and so much more. Even Nikola Tesla said that in older age on stage. I'm not the genius that you think I am. I have visions, I hear things, I see things, I dream things. Communication from the other side, starfire. So if they can do remote viewing, if Ingo Swann is correct, and if they can leave their body, and they can go into trances, and they can see into the past, they can see into the future, they can see anywhere on Earth or other planets, in the Earth, anywhere they want now. And apparently, according to David Morehouse, I went over his book and made some book reviews. Apparently, when you do leave your body and you go to, let's say, China or Russia, to one of their military installations, your spiritual energy, if it is trained and powerful enough and under control, can actually enter the body of, let's say, a general or a scientist in one of those secret laboratories or facilities. You can take control of that person. You can make them reach in their holster and pull out their gun and even shoot themselves or shoot somebody else. But you can see the designs for weapons and all of this. Can they do that? If they can do that, I got these books. Technocracy Rising, the Trojan Horse of the Global Transformation. Remote Perceptions, Out-of-Body Experiences, Remote Viewing, and Other Normal Abilities, it says on this book. Angela Smith. Young and Remote Viewing, David Shaver. The New World Order, and these people, if they are all human, controlling our planet, having all these advanced technologies, creating radicals, and why tomorrow belongs to the post-denominational Christians infused with supernatural powers. How powerful are we? Maybe we're very powerful, and maybe they don't want us to know that. Maybe in the 1910s and 1920s, 1930s, when the Rockefellers were taking over the water supplies of the towns and cities all over the United States, and putting fluoride in the water, had a purpose. Maybe they knew what they were doing. Do you believe they knew what they were doing? Do you believe they know what they're doing now? They're the ones who control these black operation laboratories, these secret facilities, this secret research. Well, anyways, the fluoride in the water calcifies your pineal gland, which apparently is a little pine cone thing in the middle of your brain, full of crystals. Radios operate on crystals. And they operate at high frequencies too. So little crystals in your pineal gland. But fluoride in the water, when you drink it, calcifies the pineal gland, and your little internal transmitter receiver to the higher world doesn't work. Who would have thunk of that? I guess they knew what they were doing. So let me read from this book and try to explain where I'm at. I've been reading it. I wanted to start reading from this page. The Pentagon. It had been a busy day, characterized by a strong aura of inquisition. So apparently the Pentagon was in an uproar. Something was wrong. Everybody was running around frantic, and the generals were threatening everybody. We've all seen the movies. The anonymous letter had already claimed its first victims. The chief security officer of Project Tonopah and his staff had been relieved summarily of their duties, confined, and a court-martial committee was ordered to sift through available evidence, of which there was so far no evidence. So an anonymous letter came to the Pentagon was apparently some drawings of some secret facilities of the government, and the government officials were wondering who inside the Pentagon was a traitor. Judd himself had received several security officials and had submitted to and argued his way through harsh speculations that he and his staff had had something to do with the security breach. None of his staff, however, had computer access code to Project Tonopah, except himself. The first visitors had been the Air Force intelligence, followed by the Army intelligence, both services having active interest in the microwave project. This book was written 1978, microwave project, and here in 2019, the alarm bells are ringing all over the country. Go look on the internet and research on YouTube or the internet the dangers of 5G. Get educated. It's bad. Remember, it's at those really high frequencies that your right brain operates on. Apparently, they used it during the Iraq War. They could actually speak inside the heads of those soldiers and told them subliminally, subconsciously, drop your weapons. Apparently, they also have something called Project Bluebeam, some plans for some kind of holographic images in the sky with the arrival of the second coming of Jesus, or if you're in China, Buddha, or Shiva, or somebody in India, or Muhammad in the Middle East, etc. And everybody will hear the voice, and they will see the images, and they will buy the story hook, line, and sinker, like the story from 911. So we're being pushed and pushed. And the only way out of this trap that I see, well, there's a couple things we need to know and do. But one is to wake up. And to two, figure out who you want to be connected to. The dark forces, the synagogue of Satan, or God, or Jesus, or whatever the other deities for other religions are. I know about my religion, Christianity. But apparently, throughout history on planet Earth, there have been shamans in Peru and in Australia and in Hawaii and in the Americans and the Mayans, all over the world. The old witch doctors, if you want to call them that, shamans, could communicate with these beings on the other side of the veil. They would take ayahuasca or peyote or other kinds of drugs, go into trances. We've all seen the Indians jumping up and down, doing their ritual dances around the fire, going into trances and then flying through the sky, seeing through the eyes of an eagle or a wolf. The spiritual realm. But the powers that be throughout history wanted to destroy that evidence and the capabilities of those shamans communicating with the other world, bringing back solutions and cures for ailments for their different tribes all over the world. So this other world, this invisible reality, does exist. And we're spiritual beings, and we have more powers than we know. But they don't want you to know that. And they're going to use it against you and I for this global world order. Part of biblical prophecy is going to be from the dark side. So back to the book here. And I'm only reading my highlighted portion, so I might have to skip around. So apparently, Senator Davis was involved in this, and they were trying to get a hold of him, but he had been fishing aboard someone's yacht. The senator often moved in semi-secrecy, and his secretary did not know where he was. So here we have all these elites who become our senators and our representatives and the presidency and the leaders and operators in the Pentagon and the CEOs of big corporations like Eric Schmidt of Google, whose name ironically spells 666 in a numerology calculator. Who would have thunk that? Eric Schmidt. Look it up in a numerology calculator. And Monsanto, genetically modified foods. Monsanto is 666. Kissinger, accused of high crimes all over the world of mass murder by the things that he controlled. Kissinger is 666. McPherson, apparently Newton Gingrich's real last name, McPherson is 666. Computer is 666. And so many other words. I think Verichip, the microchip, is 666. You think that's all an accident. So what I'm trying to say is, this other reality, the God spiritual realm, or the satanic realm, is interacting with humanity. And these secret societies and these people into the Kabbalah are embracing that, are sacrificing human beings, are performing rituals we see during Super Bowl halftime shows, even with the horns and tunnel openings and Eurovision, like the American Idol program. Even on American Idol, they got the great big eye, the back of the dollar bill, the eye. When will people figure it out? And of course, we're only on planet Earth temporarily. So apparently, according to my research, they want something. And they have to create this atmosphere to get the people agitated and push them and push them and push them. So people will do things they normally wouldn't do. Remember, Nancy Pelosi said we didn't have any courage or strength. We were just passive. They couldn't do enough to get us agitated. Because normally we're just not that way. Take Americans. What, 325, 30 million of us? How many do you really think want to go to war and kill all the people in the Middle East? Very few do. Only a couple of nutcases. Most of us don't want that. But they don't do what we want. They're even passing legislation recently that was in one of my local newspapers, that City Hall, you get down to City Hall when they have the monthly meetings, that citizens would be limited to 1 minute to speak at the podium. Maybe you didn't like some kind of zoning code or thing going on with the school system and you get up there and you talk. 1 minute. And no questions were allowed. They don't want to hear from us. They want us to shut up and behave. And they're about to turn on this advanced technological beast system that monitors us, and people will get demerits or some kind of punishment, probably even elimination, if you don't fall in line with these global world order elites who are getting ready to really take over the planet. They control it now. Okay, back to the book. The next arrivals were high officials of the CIA, who were not easily put off. Judd solved this problem only by pointing out forcefully that their proper channel for information was through the CIA director, who was on the President's National Security Council, who had been appraised of both the existence and the nature of Project Tonopah. So apparently they were frantic that some people out there in the public arena, we citizens, somebody, became aware of this secret project. Project Starfire. What do you believe? A lot of people think they can just ignore this situation. But I'm here to tell you now, we can't. They're dumping so many chemicals in the sky today here in the mountains of North Carolina. It actually, if you weren't really sure of yourself and knowing that you believed in God and you were connected to this part, and the worst they can do is kill you, it could cause you to be frightened when you realize they're dumping that much stuff into the sky. And then, of course, the microwave transmissions and so much more. Facial recognition systems and monitoring everything you do, where you go, GPS, etc. They're writing all these software programs and algorithms to track us, and eventually they'll turn on some programs that makes decisions on who's to be eliminated because who might be outside the guidelines of their control. People who might know too much. So maybe you want to turn this video off if you don't want to know too much and get the metadata, have you cataloged as a red dot, a red flag in their system. A yellow flag, apparently, you can be rounded up and re-educated or in prison on a work farm. So they're not worried. They know you'll cooperate. You'll just be a slave. You're afraid. And a green dot, well, you probably already have your demonic tattoo on you and belonging to these cults. So they don't have any problem about that. They know that you're into a lot of nefarious activities and decadent behavior and taking drugs and everything else, and you would hurt people to survive. You're going to be a green dot. No worries. Part of the New World Order. Not a threat to the elite, who apparently are into some religion called the Synagogue of Satan, as is mentioned in the Bible, Revelation 2.9 and 3.9. Go look it up, and other places. Jesus accusing the Jews and overturning the money changers' tables. Say, ye are of your father, Satan. All right, so back to the book. Tonopah project workers, employed directly or indirectly, found themselves under the growing scrutiny, their clearances being reviewed mercilessly. Everyone took for granted that there was a super spy on the project in the employ of the surreptitious subversion organization. The months of dedicated security hounds were noticeably watering. In spite of the security confusion, the removal of Tonopah from the site at Red Mountain, Tennessee. They have all these underground facilities all over the United States and apparently all over the world. You can go look up Pine Gap in Australia, etc. Again, the elites are preparing for something. And apparently they're into this psychic capabilities, research, and remote viewing and mind control, human control, even apparently in communication or some kind of involvement with satanic demonic forces. That's frightening just to think about it. And they don't want you to believe in God to communicate with, get my hands right here, the spiritual force of God, which they know is powerful. It would make you or anybody else super powerful. Jesus healing people with the power, etc. The people have been healing people throughout the ages. All right, so the site was being relocated from Red Mountain, Tennessee because of a leak. Had proceeded apace, and in less than 48 hours, these underground caverns had been emptied, and the Air Force research at Camp Offutt in Omaha suddenly found itself possessed by a small body of men and mysterious equipment no one could or would explain of any detail. So secretly, they were moving Project Tonopah from Tennessee to Omaha. And apparently in Omaha is where they have all the underground nuclear missile facilities. I worked for a major aerospace company for 10 years. And in one of my jobs, I was sent out to Omaha, somewhere in Nebraska. And they have the secret military facilities and bases. I was out there to configure some big electronic computer systems. Apparently they were having trouble getting it going, and they couldn't put an XA-25678 card in an XA-A25678 slot. because so many cards go in those big towers with those electronic equipment. If you don't put the cards in the right slots and configure everything properly, they don't work. And I was one of those people that could do that stuff. I have an electronic technology degree. Worked at a major aerospace company for 10 years. Prior to that, I worked for Digital Corporation, and my first job was with Centronics, those old Centronic printers, dot matrix. That was my first job out of school. And in 6 months or 7 months, they promoted me right up because I graduated from a good school. I knew how to do things other people couldn't do. So I took a job at Digital, and they promoted me right up. But I got tired of living in New Hampshire. It was cold. I had lived in Florida after leaving Maine. So I got a job at a major aerospace company near the Space Center and worked there for 10 years on research and development projects. So I know a little bit. And when I did walk around the huge campus near Melbourne, Palm Bay, Cocoa Beach, Kennedy Space Center, whenever they had one of those microwave dishes, they had big signs that said, "Don't walk in front of this. It can kill you and hurt you and make you sterile." And now they're going to be installing, they are installing. They're going to have this complete microwave transmission system in operation everywhere, which apparently can kill you, like the sign said when I worked on campus. Even on big battleships where they have the microwave transmitters, once in a while, accidentally, a soldier will step in front of them and get zapped and killed. Apparently, that's the same thing that happened with Project Montauk. I made videos on those books. We'll be readdressing that. But they had the big SAGE antenna at the end of Long Island, Montauk Air Force Base. SAGE antenna, big microwave antenna. You've seen them at airports. They turn around and scan the horizon. SAGE antenna. Go look up Project Montauk. So anyways, when it was scanning the horizon, they found out that whenever they turned it on, that in the local towns, which is kind of woodsy and foresty around the little towns at the end of Long Island, New York, out of nowhere in the middle of the day, all the animals would go crazy and start running through the streets. It was like herds of squirrels and deer and everything. They were losing their mind because of the microwave transmissions. And humans would start going berserk and getting irritated. And they found out that it was affecting their emotions. This is way back then, after World War II. So they've been studying it intensively. That's what this Project Tonopah is all about, I'm reading about. Okay, so again, I'm reading my highlighted paragraphs. So if you want to get the book, and Ingo Swann has a lot of books, supposed to be quite credible. Is it all true? Is it all false? Is it all part of the deception? Not that the atmosphere of Washington was peaceful. National and international concerns possessed Washington night and day. So Washington is a interesting place. Apparently all these elites who control companies and corporations and the governments and the militaries, they're probably under one different security threat or frantic state or another. Imagine that. Think about that now, 2019, and all the stuff we see in the news, and the stock market threats of crashing every now and then, and so much more. Government shutdowns. There's a whole world going on behind the scenes. And a lot of people just want to go about their daily lives and not worry about it. But apparently, a bad day is coming. So it says here, well, security has been given a total sweep of all personnel associated with Project Tonopah, have come up with nothing that even suggests a leak. So how did somebody find out what was going on in the government laboratories? Project Tonopah. Another highlighted paragraph. Judd, I guess he was the military commander there. We are caught by surprise with the document about highly classified project so perfect that its author seems to have been in the project itself. So somebody sent them some drawings of their laboratory, and the only people they could figure out that would get those drawings were somebody who had been in the laboratory. Judd found himself gazing reflectively at an intelligence report, one of the many routinely passing across his desk, speculating on the significance of the sudden disappearance of a Russian depot in Kazakhstan. So there's a lot going on with Kazakhstan, over there by the Ukraine and Russia. I think it has something to do with the Khazars and the Yiddish Jewish people and all the turmoil in that area. Maybe there's a whole empire operating throughout the world that we all don't know about. So it seems. But anyways, prior, when I was reading this book, the same thing happened over there in Russia. The leaders got some anonymous mail that showed drawings of their psychic research facilities, and the writer of the letter who sent it to them said, either dismantle the laboratory or the world is going to know what you're up to. And back then, after World War II, the public had a lot of capability, a lot of power. When they became aware of something and it hit the newspapers, they would get in an uproar, and it would affect government policy. So the people who control our country had that as a battle inside. So they had to learn how to repress what people knew out there, you and me. And then, of course, condition people so that they wouldn't react or do anything when they found out things, and discredit what people knew and make fools what people said, ridicule, discredit them, arrest them, kill them. After World War II, that was a big problem, and that's why I believe they had the hippie revolution with drugs and other drugs, and probably even the Vietnam War and Korean Wars. They had some kind of chess game, some kind of games they were playing. And one thing that concerned them during the Vietnam War were all the people protesting. The politicians and leaders, the elites, could not have that. And I have the books on that. And so they had to do something to society to destroy the family unit and the education system as we knew it. They had to change our world, and they have changed it, and they are changing it. And it seems like they really want to bring about a greater portion of the population into poverty, like the Hunger Games movie. And they have all these advanced technologies, apparently even psychic abilities and remote viewers trained by them who can look into the past and look into the future and look all over the planet. So they know things we don't know. And I think that's why I'm making this video at this time, is we the people need to wake up and realize how powerful we are. People go, oh, Rick, you can talk about the dangers and the threats. What can we do about it? Well, one thing is being awake and realizing who you're communicating with, the spiritual world or the demonic world. That's a start. And the spiritual world is quite powerful. I guess the demonic world is too. So they're afraid of people believing in God and Jesus and praying and believing and understanding God's laws. That interferes with their New Age, Luciferic, global world order. They want to tell people there's no sin. You can do whatever you want. All right. Why do you suppose, he said to Abrams, who was fussing around the office, trying to arrange the disordered piles of research reports, that the Russians would suddenly abandon a rather large installation and blot its remains out of sight? Sounds familiar, doesn't it, sir? So apparently the Russians were giving an anonymous letter, like I said earlier, about one of their research facilities into the paranormal. and told to dismantle it, or the world would be told of its existence. And the Russians decided to move it. And apparently the United States got a letter, the CIA, these organizations, an anonymous letter saying, here's a drawing of your facility. I'm going to inform the newspapers unless you dismantle it. Now, how would anybody know if they dismantled it? Well, apparently, according to this book here, the Russians relocated their paranormal, psychic research, remote viewing facilities. And apparently, as we just read in these pages, the U.S. government moved it to Omaha, what's in this book. Okay, a little bit more with that little paragraph I was reading, or chapter, if you want to call it a chapter. The next one starts out at New York. That one was the Pentagon. That's what I've been reading from. And the next one I'm going to read from is about somebody in New York. But we got one more paragraph with that last chapter. What could have prompted the Russians to abandon a rather hefty research depot? Previous reports had speculated that the Kazakhstan site was research and not military in nature, unless... Was it possible that they had been hit too? And if so, was their site developing weapons of the magnitude of Tonopah? So what if they do have trained psychics who can leave their bodies and look into the past, look into the future, look anywhere on the planet, look off planet, and can go to places and bring back intelligence reports, even take action and possess people and cause things to happen? Imagine entering a submarine with one of these remote travelers and taking over one of the submarine officers' bodies and pushing the button to launch a nuclear weapon or even an aircraft. B-1B bomber with nuclear weapons. They fly all over the continent and the world all the time. These people are playing some very sinister games with each other and our lives and the whole planet. Okay, so that's what happened at the Pentagon. And the next paragraph is New York. So let's find out about how somebody found out about these two projects in these extremely protected areas of these research programs into the paranormal psychic research. Is it a threat to humanity? What do they know we don't know? All right, moving along. So apparently it starts out with the word probing. Probing, finally, contact. He smiled slightly, observing the blankness of the site of the project Tolkien. So the Russian project was Project Tolkien, and the American was Tonopah. Almost as if nothing had ever been there, except the tall metal towers had not yet been completely dismantled. They looked lonely, denuded of the buildings that had only a few days ago clustered like bees around the bases. The smile did not falter as he observed a reconstitution of several elements of Project Tolkien at a nearby site. But he did frown with comprehension of the nature of the alternate site finally emerged. So the Russians heeded the warning from this apparently psychic person in New York City who had learned how to leave his body and spy on the Russians and spy on the government. Apparently he was a conscientious objector, a citizen, taking matters into his own hands. Rousing himself, he moved across the soft carpeting and leafed through a large atlas of the world, his finger almost automatically falling on a new site. So what can psychics do? Have you ever been to a psychic? Do you know anybody who goes to a psychic? How about people who pay attention to astrology, numerology, the people into the Kabbalah, sorcery, witchcraft? And again, the ancient shamans and all the ancient peoples, tribes all over the world, had these shamans communicating with the other world and knew how to do things according to the position of the moon and the times of the year. I'm not saying it's all bad. But when they do things and they know things that they don't want us to know, and apparently belonging to some kind of demonic reality, sacrificing humans and a threat to humanity, it just seems to me that we, the people, need to wake up to the fact that apparently this stuff is real. And the government is involved in it. So most of us are really not sure what we perceive, what we see, what we hear. We can't believe what's in the newspapers and the nightly news and the TV and the forest fires and the crazy flooding in the Midwest right now. All this insanity, and the government saying they need to take some action on Venezuela and Iran, which they perceive as threats to the world. The only couple obstacles that they haven't controlled and are a threat to their global world order, so they need to deceive and fool we the people once again, so they can go out there and slaughter a whole lot more people to take over all those oil reserves in Venezuela and gold reserves and other resources and depopulate the area. And then, of course, Iran sits right next to Israel in the Middle East, where they've destroyed almost every other country except Iran, and they don't control Iran's banking system, so Iran needs to be destroyed too, along with Venezuela and anybody else. Where do you think this is going to end? So anyways, this psychic, I guess, could tell that they had moved the equipment to a new site. About 100 miles east of the dark blue Aral Sea to Rattan, the principal USSR launching site, a space launch center. Were the Soviets going to orbit the deadly devices? Probably. So what did this psychic know? What was Project Tolkien? What was he worried about deadly devices being in orbit? Well, what had he expected? Mere letters would hardly change the world all at once. He returned to his supine position, supine, resuming the reflective mode. Probing, so apparently this guy could go into one of those trances, you know, you sit in a yoga position, go into a trance. And they, from the caverns in Tennessee to the vast security facilities of the Strategic Air Command at Omaha, he signed. Hell, this, as he had expected, was going to be a gosh darn chess game. So he realizes just warning them to shut down these facilities wasn't going to do it. He rested for over 10 minutes, his PSI factors shifting from meta-sensory perception, gathering information, into an invisible but powerful spark of irritation. 10 minutes, his mind idling, waffling in and out of curling smoke patterns raising from a cigarette, waiting out the passing psychic storm. And I've read a lot of books on psychic research. And some days you've got it, and some days you don't. Why do they have the all-seeing eye on the pyramid on the dollar bill? Why do they have those pointy obelisks in our city squares and parks? Why are they trying to encourage the United States government to start enforcing Noahide laws? Why are they promoting all this propaganda to destroy Christianity? I don't think we can separate the spiritual world from this physical world. They are connected. But I believe these people who want a global world order want to separate it. They don't want you to know who you are, what you are, how powerful you are. And they're installing all these advanced technological weapons. As we all know, my 5G, wireless systems, laser beam technologies. Though he had, as much as possible, become used to the paracentral sensation of almost blind, the power of a child gaining control of a primal consciousness that had no vanishing horizon. He might never become used to the fear that he might misuse his abilities. This fear could wreck him, he shuddered. The shudder brought forth a yawn. Gratefully, he became aware of his apartment. The mylar-covered walls gleamed with a muted silver. He breathed a sign of relief. Once more, the bad moment had passed. He stripped to his skin. This author's pretty good on the nonfiction novel. Letting the cool air caress his damp body as he sank comfortably into the mauve velvet upholstery. He loved the richness of his surroundings, chrome tables with a thick glass top. Remember, he's in New York City. Littered with crystal ashtrays and expensive cigarette boxes, the Devons and chairs and thick and soft stood around like lovable rhinoceroses ready to bathe the fatigue of the body. Where the walls did not gleam from decorative silver paper, soft light illuminated gold paintings and sculptures and fortresses of books and tape decks. And a special alcove held the trappings of his success, 9 golden discs framed in plain wood, each disc representing sales of 1 million records. Apparently this guy was a singer, a well-known singer, and apparently he was having psychic experiences like Nikola Tesla said he did. And he was a little self-taught. According to this book, he did seek professional help. He went to California, and that turned out to be a train wreck, getting professors involved, treating him like a guinea pig. And there's lots of books on these topics. It's just too much information out there to dismiss it all. Money, wealth, publicity of an international following, all based on his musical gifts, were nothing compared to the rare, exciting psychic future growing somewhere in the space of his greater self. So who are you? Who am I? What are we really? How powerful are we really? The power of the mind. As one of those channelers who says, what you think about, you bring about. Is that why they're trying to bring us all this gloom and doom propaganda? What you think about, you bring about. Is that why they're giving us all this propaganda for gloom and doom and world destruction? All this stuff in the TV programming, newspapers, radio show, nightly news. What you think about, you bring about. Can you see what I'm doing? Can you see what they're doing? They're changing the consciousness, the reality, by propaganda. Mind control, that's how it works. And probably can turn up the volume with the 5G that can read right into the mind and kill people who get in the way. Who are these people? Why do we have all these satanic symbols during all these football, Super Bowl halftime shows and Emmys and Grammys and tunnel openings and singing contests and statues of the devil put out in front of the courthouses and people having all these rituals? It is connected. All right, just one paragraph left in this previous chapter. Almost nothing. It was, in fact, damn near heartbreaking to have to give it all up. Whatever he was growing into, Merriweather, that's the guy's name, Merriweather, reflected. He was still, in many ways, a music-struck kid who had made it as big as anyone ever dreamed of. It was almost unfair that he should be saddled with this other gift, too, that drew him away from everything else. All right, so far we've discussed the Pentagon in a frantic state in New York, the Pentagon in a frantic state and some of their activities, because apparently some psychic or somebody, they didn't know who, sent them drawings of their secret facilities. So they moved it to Nebraska, Omaha. And the same thing in Russia. And then we're talking in New York, or this book is talking about this psychic, and apparently he was the cause of those anonymous letters to the governments, respectively, Russia and the United States. So the next chapter is Washington again. So we had the Pentagon, we had New York. Now we're switching over to Washington. It's like one of those TV programs, you know. They show you what's going on in Houston, and then they switch over to somebody in Florida, what they're doing, and these different characters in the whole show or the whole movie. As Judd had expected, Abrams got back to him within an hour. It was approaching midnight. Here's the complete scenario so far, he began. Air Force interpreters don't know what to make of it. Spoke to Shirley Pars. Apparently she was somebody who was into psychic research. She and I make it sometimes. Who says no one has figured out what the Russian site was all about. Maybe that's... Anyways, called up the Bureau of Intelligence and Research at the State Department, and they didn't know anything except that Mr. Meade had expressed a sudden interest in telepathy, which has everyone at State in a subdued flap since no one there believes in it. And remember, this Kabbalistic religion of many Jewish people. Apparently, the whole thing that makes them Jewish, according to the documents I've been going over, the books I've been going over, the Encyclopedia Judaica, published in English, in Israel I've been going over, and so much more. This Kabbalah is also fundamentally sorcery, which have they been accused many times, and part of the religious difference is why they were not compatible with Christianity. The spiritual God world, or the satanic demonic world. Who are we? Why are we here? What are they up to? Is ignorance bliss? All right. Walters is screaming his head off because he didn't know what Tonopah was all about. So some of these people in the Senate or the House of Representatives or the President's staff or the Pentagon, they're not informed about all these things that are going on. When they find out something was going on, like we see in the movie programs, and they weren't told about it, they get all irate and they scream at each other, and there's infighting going on. The director of the Defense Intelligence Agency is muttering about the ineffectiveness of clearances. The CIA is laughing, glad to catch the DIA with its pants down. I'll give Ingo Swann some credit for writing a nice novel here. A lot of wheels spinning, but he doesn't look as if anybody's going to get hurt just yet. So all this scrutiny is going on, trying to find out who and where the leak came from. But they can't pin it down. But we just read in the last chapter or section that the psychic did it. Ha! Muttered Judd. But that leaves two items. How did the leak occur in the first place? And are we to assume that there was a Russian counterpart to Tonopah? Gotcha, said Abrams. Air Force intelligence will doubtless check out the first one in some detail, since it's their baby. Yes, I suppose so. Judd did not bother to conceal the dubious tone in his voice. Abrams thought it better not to comment. Judd brooded. The conviction that had seized him an hour before was still there, still compelling. He didn't like what it implied, but he had long since learned to follow his gut feelings. There had been too many battles he would not have survived if he hadn't. So this high-level official, government contracts in the military, connected with the senators, etc., was a pretty savvy dude, according to what I've been reading here. So again, like I said, it's Ingo Swann has written a lot of books on psychic research and probably been involved with government activities and other training programs on how to do remote viewing. So I guess to me, he wanted to kind of get the story out, what's really going on in the form of a novel. Or is it all just more fake news and propaganda like all the alien and UFO books out there? TV programming. I Dream of Jeannie, Lost in Space, Bewitched, Hogan's Heroes. Depicting the Germans as bumbling idiots when they weren't. That was the whole reason that Germany had to be destroyed. They were industrious. They were intelligent. They were succeeding. They were a threat to the world elite. I've gone over that material. But see how they can change the society's perception, the masses of people? Everything Harad Judd knew about psychic, the academics preferred the term paranormal. Paranormal he had picked up while briefing himself for his post at DARPA. So Harad Judd, one of these people involved with the security of the base, had worked for DARPA. So I, if you know what I do, went and looked up DARPA on Yahoo image site. Look at this clip. Think about this. You can use these resources too and go check on stuff and make a video or write a book or alert your family and friends what the government's up to. Governments and many organizations out there, secrets, spending billions and even trillions of our dollars. Even the FCC, Federal Communication Director, said in a video, you can go look it up, that there will be no testing of 5G. The promise of billions of dollars in commercial activity is too great. And apparently there's a lot of people out there informing everybody that even children in different schools where they have wireless and microwave transmitters, it's harming and even killing people, but they don't want you to know that. Somebody's installing some kind of sinister technological system all over the planet. So I did look up DARPA on the Yahoo image site. Take a look at these pictures in my short video I made. Well, hello there. Rick Miracle here, looking into something called DARPA. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. So what's the government into? Where do your tax dollars go? This looks kind of interesting. Some kind of robotic, walkable, I don't know what you would call them. DARPA. Different kinds of drones and planes. Northrop Grumman Advanced. All kinds of technologies, battlefield technologies. You can go on Yahoo image site and find these things out for yourself. Click the link over to the right. You can see the YouTube video, whatever. But they're certainly into robotics. and apparently much more. A lot to do with world warfare, believe it or not. I'd say we citizens need to wake up. And wake up quick. Look at this ship. So I don't think they build all this stuff to not ever use it. Robotics. Artificial intelligence. Technologies. 14 near-future DARPA projects rank red. Let's go look at that website. Just click the right there. Rank red, scientific technology knowledge. Exacto. The first smart self-guided bullets with a collaboration of Lockheed Martin and Teledyne Scientific and Imaging. I believe I've mentioned in numerous previous videos that I have an electronic technology degree and worked for 10 years at a major aerospace company near the Space Center. I worked in a vault. I had a secret security clearance. The high energy liquid laser. And then they talk about lasers starting fires in California. Well, here you go. Hell yeah, hell lads. High energy liquid laser air defense system project was started to counter the SAM systems that an aircraft may encounter. So you can go look up this website, rankred.com. Go look up the DARPA images on YouTube. Oh, I mean Yahoo, excuse me. A aerial reconfigurable embedded system. The one-shot XG. Whether it's in a movie or real life, a sniper has to go through a series of back-breaking and tiring drills to make himself the perfect marksman. There are many factors that can affect a fired shot over the long range, which a sniper have to control by performing several calculations using a little bit of physics. So advanced technologies to assist the snipers. The PCAS, persistent close air support. VTRL X-plane. The integrated sensor is structure. Big mechanism, architecture of the big mechanism. Memex. Today, what we call web is more like an indexed web or a visible web, which use an unified or suitable for all approach that searches the internet with a similar pattern for every individual query. So like I've been saying, they do monitor everything we do. RAM. So they are working to communicate with our brains. Well, it makes us think things that are our thoughts, but they're really not our thoughts. Random access memory, restoring active memory. Traumatic brain injury is one of the major causes of disability. ACTUV and gremlins. All kinds of technologies. Oh, pathogen predators. There is no question about the fact that widespread or more likely overuse of antibiotics has led to the emergence of antibiotic resistance in many pathogenic bacteria. The situation gave rise to an urgent threat worldwide. In response, DARPA has launched a pathogen predators program which will explore the potential use of living predatory bacteria to cure bacterial infections caused by threat agents and antibiotic-resistant pathogens. Synapse, neuromorphic adaptive plastic scalable electronics, the XS-1 is an experimental booster plane designed to deliver military satellites into the Earth's orbit. So back to Yahoo image site. What else are they up to? Flying saucers. Who would have thought that? Crazy? Looks like something you might see in a Star Wars movie. What are the officials working for the government and the corporations doing? That looks like a scary type of robot there. DARPA. They can see things that you can't see. They can see in the middle of the night. Looks like a Illuminati symbol down here on the bottom left. 5 most insane DARPA projects YouTube video you can go watch. DARPA. For years since World War II and before, these people have been busy. I don't think we citizens have much of a chance if this government ever goes rogue, and apparently it has gone rogue. According to many YouTube videos, people who have been researching this stuff. Autoclave quality without the expense of the autoclave. Emerging aerospace grade non-autoclave cure composites provide the benefits of quick and inexpensive methods of materials capable of meeting production, vehicle requirements. A lot of psychic research. Plan X, massive black. So what do you think? Should we trust the powers that be? DARPA. There is no final frontier. You can click these links to these pictures, take you to the website to get all the details. DARPA Project Nimbus, laser-guided lightning weapon. A lot of people have been reporting lightning type effects during the fires in California and other places. A Boeing YAL-1 airborne laser thunderstorm fried enemies. You can click the links like this one and get all the scoop at weather modification history. Wow. All the DARPA projects talking about weather modification. Look at this picture. Cloud seeding washout, Moscow, Russia. Chernobyl meltdown. Cloud seeding to kill rain. Get the all-seeing eye there, so it seems. Here you go. Iran, Israel stole our clouds. ClimateViewer.com, Israeli flag. CIA are the weathermen. Stratospheric sulfur geoengineering. So if we have this world war, and they have these advanced technologies, do we the people stand a chance with a cyber war and all these computers and metadata, automated systems, microwave transmitters, laser beams, weather warfare? Innovations in defense. Doesn't seem like they're using it for defense. "21st Century Essential Guide to DARPA. Doing business with DARPA." Defense. Do you believe it's defense? Apparently, they want to be able to control our minds. DARPA. All these websites you can take a look at. Looks like they got control of the brain here. Some kind of advanced flying aircraft. Again, you can click the links to these pictures and find out about DARPA. I've been reading a book about Ingo Swann and Starfire and psychic research and DARPA. I was just wondering if there were any pictures here to kind of help me connect the dots. So they can hook up these systems to camera, pilot, PITOT, radar, cell towers, SATCOM, radio, TV, lightning, plug and play, GPS. So much here. Advanced technologies, DARPA. We'll never see it coming. You think? The internet. What do you say, we the people need to wake up? Kabbalah, magic, witchcraft, Illuminati, Freemasons, Rosicrucians. What kind of beings may they be in cahoots with all the symbols that are satanic? For their logos also. Bridging the Gap, DARPA, powered by ideas. Extreme Tech. Cloud computing. So much resource material out there to look at. Oh boy. I don't think we stand a chance. Apparently Elon Musk is involved with the government. 12,000 satellites to have microwave transmissions, wireless, 5G. And they are working on communicating with the brain, controlling the brain, strategic communication. You can see all these pictures. A real threat to humanity? Look at this symbol here. Information Awareness Office. There's your pyramid, all-seeing eye and the planet. Oh boy. You can find these pictures on Yahoo image site and find websites like this when you click the picture. True Democracy Party. Google and all its accusations about spying on us, involving FBI, CIA, Mossad from Israel. DARPA Director Regina Dugan. Look at her hand. This is the director of DARPA. Look at the symbols, the pyramid, the all-seeing eye. Videos you can watch. Oh my. So I thought I'd just take a little look at DARPA, seeing it's in this book about psychic research in the government, so should we citizens pay attention to what's going on? DARPA. And you can go look online, even the military magazines and websites, and they have all these cool videos of showing the capabilities of laser beams on aircraft and ships, and probably coming from satellites. And you can go look up Deborah Travers and Dane Wigington and the forest fires and the weather control. Scratch your head and think and say, what if? What if everything that I'm seeing is what I'm seeing is real? Everything that I'm hearing, it is what it is. It's real. The fact that the military was funding research in these unlikely areas, as were the Soviets, made some knowledge of it necessary. He had not been impressed by the voluminous reports of people with the ability to read symbols on hidden cards. Gross sequences, guess sequences of random numbers, bend metal objects without touching them, or directly describe scenes, given only map references. It only got interesting when it got further from what could be proved, and one of the few things that had struck in his mind was a discussion of the psychic, all right, paranormal, nature of hunches and gut feelings. So I don't know about you, but I've had those moments where I had this intuitive thinking or restless night, and then something crazy would happen later on, and you would know that it wasn't just a coincidence. I had an out-of-body experience. And I talked to a few of my friends while I was working at the aerospace company, and a couple other people said, oh, I've had that. Would be out at the beach or at somebody's house with a lot of people. And I could always find one or two people who had some experiences like that. So what is reality? And it says here, it had made him uneasy. So this military officer was uneasy thinking about these things. To think that the faculty he relied on might link him to an area he had so little respect for, but not uneasy enough to disregard it. So if the military, people like this guy in this book, he doesn't understand it, it's confusing, but he's saying, but it's not so crazy or confusing that we should be confident enough to just disregard it. And just like with the 5G and all those people, Dr. McCullough, Dr. Cruz, and so many more, about the warnings and the admissions by the government of weather control and weather warfare and all of that. And obvious disappearance of bugs and plants and trees dying and people getting sick, and the controlling of the medical institutions, toxins and mercury and stuff in vaccines, foods that are poisonous to us, hurting our health. Should we disregard all of what I just said? And now his conviction was pushing him right back toward the psychic. Abrams, he said slowly, we need expert help. We're getting everything the government can lay on, sir. I don't see how. Next page. Then we'd better look into another direction. Who's likely to know more about psychics? People who are supposed to be able to read minds, and so on. I mean, somebody solid, sensible, not a freak. So with that said, I got another video here for you on psychic research I looked up on Yahoo image site. And remember, As soon as you watch this video, go to Yahoo image site, put in psychic research projects, look at all the pictures, click the links, decide for yourself. Should we wake up? Should we acknowledge this? Is this some sinister program being put in place to mind control the people, make zombies out of people, depopulate the planet, bring about this global world order, an antichrist demonic system? It seems like that's the case. Plenty of information out there that says that's the case. Watch this video. You have to ask yourself, what's with the 5G? Something they don't want to test. Communication system, weapons system, mind control system. So I thought I'd look up psychic research projects on Yahoo image site. See if we could get a little education here. Central Intelligence Agency, the Unexplained Mysteries, Stargate Project. So I suspect could be a lot of information discovered looking at these pictures and clicking the websites associated with them. Southern Ontario Paranormal Society. So what do you think? You believe in telepathy? Mind control? Remote viewing? Leaving your body? Night vision? Ghostbusters? A lot of stuff on TV. St. Louis Paranormal Research Society, all over the world. What is it that we the people are not aware of that might be going on? What's the government into? What's with the New Age chakra system? Meditation, yoga, telekinesis, levitation. What advanced technologies do the power elite know about and have? Endorsed research medium. Voices across the veil. Do you know what the veil is? An afterlifedata.com project. So go on Yahoo image site and look up psychic research projects. Click these pictures, look at the links, get educated. Because apparently there's something that we ought to know. Some kind of new technologies involved in World War III. This new global world order. What can people do? Apparently this guy's picking up a metal plate. All right, continuing my investigation into the topic of psychic research projects on Yahoo image site. I started this yesterday and I got interrupted. So there are some interesting symbols with psychic. They look like astrology, etc. More symbols. So symbols seem to have a lot to do with everything. And of course a lot of people are believing that this is the Boyle Heights Paranormal Project and Research Group, apparently involving Art Bell and aliens beaming up humans. So I believe those two topics are connected, as well as Twisted Paranormal Research Team, The Beast, D&D Monster Factory. So there are some, and apparently even the Hitler regime into the Thule Society, Vril Society, getting information from beings from another dimension, behind the veil, another world, Tom Deluge Lounge, and UFO disclosure, rocking the secret space program, exopolitics. So when you're talking about psychic research, apparently we're also talking about the government being into these kinds of programs, and apparently not for benevolent purposes. Extraterrestrial life forms, paranormal research forum claims that they're building underground facilities. Of course, we see all the movies, and here's a one says Ingo Swann, reality boxes, psychic sexuality, ESP, a layman's guide to unlocking the extrasensory power of your mind, Ingo Swann. Ironically, that's the book I'm going over right now. So I'm just saying, your pictures are communicating things. Here's an all-seeing eye on this guy's forehead. And then we have an all-seeing eye on the dollar bill and a lot of the federal government symbols, etc. around the world. Universities offer research fellowship devoted to studying. All right, so you see what I'm saying. I'm saying that it is likely the government is involved into psychic research, and it's one of the weapons they will use against humanity to bring about the global world order. The New Brunswick Paranormal Research Group, the pyramids, pointing up down, pointing above, male and female, as above, so below, and the all-seeing eye. So what are we to think? What are we to fear? Is there anything to fear? National Paranormal Alliance. This is their home Facebook page, and look at this creature. Maryland Paranormal Research. Looks like they have a slideshow when you click this picture. Seems like they're investigating and researching the human DNA, linking it up to electronics. Controlling human behavior, ascension with Mother Earth and the current state of affairs. So what do you think? You believe in ghosts, ESP, psychic abilities, demons, angels? Do you believe in the devil? Do you believe in God? What do you believe? What should you believe? Anyways, you can go on Yahoo image site, check all this out. Ooh, here we go. Project Stargate. That's popping up in my research quite a bit. Be interesting to go to this website, take a peek. Standard remote viewing. Remote viewing is a structured, teachable discipline that enlists the unconscious mind to gain direct knowledge about inaccessible targets, about people, places, things, events, in the past, present, and future. Oh my. Be interesting to go review this website. Videos, Psychic Scape. So there you have it. Little look at some pictures on the Yahoo image site. You can go there too. Just put in Yahoo Images and find yourself at images.search.yahoo.com. Psychic Research Project. And you'll find all these pictures And you too can begin a very interesting research project and share it with the rest of us. What should we believe? So anyways, back to my video. Well, I suppose I'll be making several videos on Ingo Swann's books. He's published a lot of them. I've got a couple of them. I got to go online and try to find some more. It costs me a lot of money to get these books all the time. Penetration. The Question of Extraterrestrial and Human Telepathy. Ingo Swann. The book I'm reading from right now is Starfire. The shattering best-selling novel of the world's first psychic war. And you thought you had enough things to worry about. Noahide laws, guillotines, building a big fence on the border, terrorism, economic destruction, pole shift, and so much more. Threats of World War III, nuclear war. Meanwhile, the people who are in control of our government certainly do not seem to be looking out for our interest. They wouldn't be in office if they were, as we've seen. Even Alex Jones is on a rant. He's woken up and says Donald Trump is definitely betraying the country and the people. And of course, they put his face on a coin called a shekel. And I got another video I watched with him and his wife going over there to the Wailing Wall, which apparently Obama went to, and George Bush Jr. and George Bush Sr. They're all into this Kabbalistic secret society mystery religion, which apparently equates to the synagogue of Satan. Believe it or not. Back to this book. Judd was grimly amused at Abrams' visible consternation and at the effort he made to suppress it while answering. If you pushed Joe Abrams' buttons, he would disgorge information if it killed him. I think there is only one person doing consistent surveys of the incident and character of psychic potential in the population. Dr. Elizabeth Coogan. You met her once at the National Science Foundation reception. Oh yes, the tall woman, cool lavender eyes. We chatted a bit. She seemed sensible. But sir, now that Abrams had fulfilled his function, he let his dismay show. What do we want with psychics? Abrams, Judd said heavily, the best, most trained minds we can find have gone over this whole mess. And they come up with all the same thing. There's no way these plans could have become known to anybody. And we have to accept that they have known their business. But we got the gosh darn letter and plans, don't we? And that's impossible. Unless there's someone who can read minds, even read what's stored inside computers. So we better consult somebody who knows about the impossible. Ingo Swann. Starfire. So that's my first video on this book. Got a few more minutes to use up. And I have a whole list of different video clips. Let me play around here a little bit with what people are saying out there. David Icke talks about population cull, chemtrails, and mind control. Think about that. Watch this video.
And they are bombarding the human immune system with endless sources of undermining its strength and its effectiveness, because this is part of the cull, and this is a massive part of the cull. What they're finding now is, and there was a one that came out just a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago, there is a dramatic fall in sperm counts. And they say they don't know why. Well, it's part of the cull. It's part of reducing the human race. And another thing that's coming, affecting the cull is what's coming out of the sky, not least through aluminium. This is a report in Britain. Aluminium poisoning may trigger Alzheimer's disease, claims professor. Alzheimer's disease has gone through the frickin' roof since chemtrails started. This is another one. Dementia is now the leading cause of death in England and Wales. Well, where the hell has that come from? It's coming from the sky. Bees suffer dementia due to metal pollution. Aluminium contamination may be behind insect decline. It's coming from the sky. Also, all this radiation, GMO, vaccines, absolutely crazily, 74 vaccines in some countries before the age of 17, massively insane. The target of the vaccines is the human immune system. So we become open to other things, and this is why they want mandatory vaccinations, because people are starting to say, hold on a minute, I'm getting a bit concerned about these vaccines and what they're doing. Oh, well, it was your choice to have them. If you're making the choice not to have them, they're now becoming compulsory, because they're massively part of this whole process as well. And so we also have drugging the population. These are the most drugged young generations in human history, all part of the plan. I explained this in Everything You Need to Know. And again, Aldous Huxley was right there, in 1961. There will be, in the next generation or so, a pharmacological method of making people love their servitude and producing dictatorship without tears, so to speak, producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies, so that people will in fact have their own liberties taken away from them, but rather enjoy it, because they will be distracted from any desire to rebel by propaganda or brainwashing enhanced by pharmacological methods. And this seems to be the final revolution.
Another person's videos I watch is Lisa Haven. She says, the government says that we are to prepare. What the heck is going on? Should we prepare? Should we wake up? I think so. What do you think? Leave a comment below. Give me a thumbs up. Send the video to somebody else.
Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, a double warning has been issued to the American public, and it comes in the form of two separate reports that have been published within weeks of each other. The first one was published November 2018, the second one December 2018, and they both detail the possibility of a potential strike on America that could cause a massive power outage via an EMP attack, or a cyber attack, or some kind of threat to the homeland, or even a geomagnetic storm of some sort. But both are warning of a potential catastrophic power outage. This is one reason I just have a heart to tell you guys, make sure you are prepared with food and water and the simple things. I've been saying this on my channel for years, and now we have the government coming out in these reports encouraging the private sector to prepare. But let me take you straight.
Another website on YouTube, Paydrov, Pedro V. He says martial law coming and it's international. Again, what do you think? One of my favorite characters to watch his videos on YouTube, making his way around the world, driving out west, Richie from Boston. See what he says. Chemtrails and 5G and all these other things I've been talking about. Do we have something to worry about? Government tells us to prepare. Do we have something to worry about? Or should we just ignore it?
Long story short, being prepared is great. I don't believe God will pull us out the last minute. Being prepared, having food, having a way to protect yourself from other Americans. But in the grand scheme of things, Wi-Fi and 5G are going to give the adversary, Satan, Lucifer, Hasatan, Beelzebub, Little Horn, whatever you want to call him, they're going to give him the same ability on earth that God has in heaven. He's going to be able to see and monitor all of us at all times. Well, I just won't carry any electronics, Richie from Boston. Yeah, remember the chemtrails I've been bitching about for 10 years that nobody really seems to care too much about? We've been ingesting that. Barium, aluminum, strontium, and whatever else. But those three elements right there are all heavy metals. We've all been breathing them in for over a decade. Whether you understand the shit coming out of the back of an airplane is not natural. It's not condensation. The 5G will be able to locate us just because of what we've already ingested. And who even knows what kind of damage we've done to our DNA now? Because America, right now, it ain't the same place I was when I was a kid. And I'm not talking about stores and Dunkin' Donuts and Burger King and IHOP. I'm talking about the people. The rest of the world does not have the unbelievably out of shape, overweight, lazy, push button people that we have. And we didn't do it on purpose. It was a very slow agenda. But if you are medicated, vaccinated, fluoridated, wake up right now.
Some people say, Rick, this stuff can't be going on. How could they control all of these people in high office and people with wealth and money? Interestingly enough, that one well-known character, football owner, Kraft was his name, caught in Vero Beach, Florida with prostitutes. They know how to smear these people in the news. And apparently, maybe they do it as some kind of punishment if people don't go along. So here's another video about blackmail and sex stings. We've got some very evil characters running the show. Make no mistake about that. Watch this clip.
A lot of play in that. So
the bottom line is the Jeffrey Epstein story is extremely deep. Major players, big, powerful, rich, influential players.
Who's who? There was a Prince Andrew was photographed.
Prince Andrew, yes. But they cannot allow the lid to come off because it blows out of the water the whole Israeli spy operation. All the politicians that are involved, all the media people that are involved. It blows it all out. They can't let it happen. So if you're all thinking that, oh, hey, this is going to be bigger than Pizzagate and all the truth is going to come out right now about it's not going to come out.
No.
Not going to come out.
This will be all the truth you'll hear about it right here.
That's it. Some of those girls will start disappearing.
I think one already has. I think one was found in a hotel in Palm Beach.
Yes. Another Arkansas.
And we just went through this in Palm Beach and Vero, the sex sting that wrangled in Bob Kraft. Remember that?
Yes, from the New England Patriots.
Right. There was other names that were said to be much bigger than him.
Yes. But
where are they at?
Never reported, was it?
It's been a couple weeks now.
In fact, there's been some high-powered law firms that have set up shop here in Florida in the past 2 weeks that are fighting to keep the video releases suppressed. And the reason why is because there are some other names that are yet to be released. They don't want those videos out.
2 billionaires living here in Vero Beach who were arrested for participating in sex trafficking at these massage parlors in Vero Beach and down through the Treasure Coast all the way down to Jupiter. And that's where Kraft was busted, in Jupiter.
The Palm Beach area.
Yes.
Where all this...
Well, we were hearing 2 weeks ago in the local press is hundreds of names.
Yes.
Big
names. Bigger than Kraft is going to be released, and it's all gone.
On a final thought, in another clip here. I think they're depending on we the people to panic. If they turn out the electricity, whatever, crash the stock market, close the banks, and people going crazy in the streets. Remember, I said they're pushing. They're pushing, and they're going to keep on pushing. They're going to push and push. Imagine if somebody came up to you and you were in the park or in school, in a bar, in a restaurant. You just start pushing you. You get angry and fight back. And if they have the advanced technologies to radiate transmissions, to control your emotions, make you go crazy. This all seems real. As much as it seems surreal, it seems real. So anyways, I was looking at this video, and it made an interesting comment I wanted to record and play. But those who panic will die first. So whatever they're going to do, the last thing anybody should do is panic. If we don't panic in the cities, in the towns, and get on the highways and try to run and flee, if we just know who did it, there's 6 billion of us and maybe 67 of them. My point is there's very few of them and there's a lot of us. But we can't panic like freaked out buffalo or cows. I don't know. I'm just saying. We need to keep our wits about us and realize that we are higher beings than this physical being, and we can't let them control us and deceive us and bring us to ruin by our own methods. People killing each other for water or food. It is a very concerning thing to think about the masses of people. You know, and they got everybody fighting everybody. The gays against the straights, and the whites and the blacks, and the Americans and the Arabs, and the Americans and the Mexicans, and the immigrants and the fence, and the elderly against the young, and the rich against the poor, and so much more. The religious against the non-religious, etc. So see this video, and I'll end this video. But I named it, Those Who Panic Die First. What do you think? Leave a comment. So thank you for watching this video. I will be investigating this topic further into the different kinds of technologies, whether physical or non-physical, spiritual, demonic, psychic, and the activities going on in our world. So if you liked the video and you have any comments, please leave a comment below, thumbs up. Thank you for watching my video. Rick Miracle reporting.